Are we back? We're back?
We're back.
We're back. Welcome to the Overheard Podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Rudel. With me always is my co-host,
Matty Rage.
If you were just joining us, we just had a little technical difficulty, so we're doing a little restart. Our guest this week, Cathy Geisler from the PAUW Foundation. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Dan, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Pretty wild week. What's been going on? What have you guys been up to this week? Working?
Yeah, a couple long weeks, but it was good. Had a DJ event last Wednesday that was pretty fun down at the old Pump and Tap there. What have you been up to hitting the PAUW?
I hit some snow. Yeah, I think you can tell my goggle tan's coming in. A little windburn, a little tan mixture. Yeah, the last 2 days have been insane out there.
Oh, yeah.
Funny enough, when you messaged me back yesterday, it was right when I was dropping into my first run backside of the lake.
Oh, nice.
And Cathy's like, oh, I hope you're out there skiing today. And in my head, I'm like, oh, am I ever? I was so pumped. Apparently all of our sound and everything is good now, so we are good to go.
Let's go.
Awesome.
A little bit about our guest, Cathy. If you've never met her, she moved to the Bow Valley, in 1991 to refill her bank account after a great time at the Calgary Stampede. Mm-hmm. I think we can all attest to that. Came to Banff and never left. Classic story. Happened to me, happened to Matt, happened to a lot of our guests.
No doubt. Common theme.
That's it. Common theme here on the Overheard Podcast. What is it about Banff that once you got here made you want to stay?
Yeah, so I guess once we arrived, found places to live, found jobs, the whole bit of it, and just really settled into the mountain lifestyle. Met lots of cool people that were just sort of in the same stage of life as we were. What's next? Finish university, and what the hell am I going to do with my life now?
Yeah,
and kind of got into the social scene a little bit, and met my husband.
Nice.
Stayed.
As we do, right? As we do.
Classic story.
Fall in love with the mountains, with a person, with something.
That's
hiking.
it. There's a certain feeling of Banff that you just can't quit. And when you leave it, it's like
Harvey touched on that last week. He's like, it's just that feeling, that vibe you get from being out here. It's hard to describe or like put your finger on it.
Yeah.
But once you leave, you're like, no, get me back.
Yeah, get me back there right away. Mm-hmm. So worked in all different types of field, eventually ending up with Caribou Properties in 2006, I believe you said, sales and marketing.
Yep, that's
What
correct.
was your experience working for Caribou Properties?
Well, Caribou Properties is a great company. At the time they were a little bit smaller than they are now. So
sure.
I had the privilege of seeing the company grow and acquire more in town, and
cool.
Always, well focused on employees, really creative employee benefits with the home loan program and the share program. And I just always had opportunities to advance and grow with the company, and eventually became part of the senior leadership team. And
very cool.
They've always treated me well. So,
well, that's a big part of why we wanted to have you on, because for those who don't know, we're going to touch on a little bit later that the Women Nancy PAUW Foundation very closely tied to Caribou. And I've never heard anyone say anything bad about working for them, which is kind of rare in a ski town.
Yeah, especially here.
Exactly.
That can go two ways, right? Like, I think that's both people might have a different expectation of what you're going to get when you come here versus what they experience when they get here. It's like, it's hard work. Like, it's not for everybody. Like, if you're not made for the service industry, man, it's going to chew you up, spit you out. So
pretty quickly,
that can skew your perceptions a little bit, if you know what I mean. But
definitely.
Yeah, I've never heard anything bad about Caribou.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say we like to operate as with a family culture. We have the same dysfunction as most families do.
That's a good motto.
It's not like, woohoo, every day here we all are getting along and that sort of thing. But yeah, great company.
100%. And again, like, the focus that I wanted to put on is they allow their employees to stay here long term, like yourself, like many other friends of mine that I know around town have had the opportunity to stay here because their employers very much want them to stay.
Oh, big time.
Which is awesome. Like, there's a share program, I believe,
where
employees can purchase shares in the company.
No doubt.
Crazy concept.
In Banff, that's like, that's wild. Usually people are like, that's mine, bro. Like,
I've heard nothing but good things about it. I think it's a great model to kind of show the community that not all big businesses are bad, because I think we've been quite critical of big business in our most recent episodes. But I think we wanted to highlight that as being a good example of a big business that does well and gives back to the community. So we got to tip our hat. Just wanted to highlight kind of that to our guests at home. What was your role in the inception of the foundation specifically?
So When Wim and Nancy decided to create the foundation, I just was lucky enough to sort of be at the coffee table. If you know Caribou Properties, we like our coffee table culture, and was fortunate enough to be at the table. And at the time, I had younger kids, and so I was, managing the hockey team, and I was on the board of the gymnastics club, and at the parent council over at the school. So I had a lot of ideas and opinions on how people could, how we could make it easier for people to afford to live in the Bow Valley and make things accessible for especially people with young kids and such.
Right.
And so, so I was doing the sales and marketing job, and then just my involvement in the community. I worked with the Community Foundation as a volunteer and that sort of thing. And so, they just offered for me to sort of help them launch it and get it off the ground. So I started, just meeting with different organizations and looking for opportunities to spend Wim's money into the world.
Amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, for those that don't know, we're going to touch on it a little bit here. The Wim and Nancy PAUW Foundation. Wim PAUW moved to Canada from Holland in 1969. He earned a mechanical engineering degree at the University of Manitoba. Always an adventurer, Wim ventured off to work and explore Canada. Like so many, all of us sitting here on this couch, paused in Banff, fell in love with the mountains, and stayed. In 1985, he founded Caribou Properties, which kind of prompted our earlier questions. A highly respected hospitality company in Banff that now welcomes visitors at 15 different hotels, 8 restaurants, 2 spas, several housing and commercial properties as well. I think they like rent space to other businesses and stuff too. So a big part of the community. Early on, Wim and his late wife Nancy committed to sustaining the town as a vibrant, resident-based and visitor-friendly community. Now, again, this is a little something we touched on last week. Resident-based is a big part. Like that phrase specifically touches to us. If you go to other mountain towns, the staff that work there, they don't live there.
Yeah, they're bussed in.
Right.
So we're very privileged.
States,
And, for you guys to have a big part of that being part of the mission statement is huge. So they planned that Wim's legacy would be to the reinvestment of his wealth directly back into the Banff and Bow Valley community and abroad. I think there's a project recently nearby, an education center or the Minigny.
Oh, in Minithini. Yeah, sorry. I was like, abroad where?
Not abroad, but like
yes.
out of the Bow Valley.
Yeah, we've been supporting them with their outdoor learning program.
Yeah, so the outreach is not just here. It is kind of spreading its
Bow
reach
Valley
as well, which is awesome. In 2009, they established the Wim and Nancy PAUW Foundation with a pledge to give back to the community through the reinvestment of the wealth earned through their tourism business profits. Great concept. This commitment is being realized through a wide range of philanthropic activities that make the Bow Valley a better place to live and work. Their vision is to inspire a love for our mountain community and to make it accessible for everyone. They support projects that promote active lifestyles, enhance education opportunities. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, and nurture strong connections within the community. They want the Bow Valley to be the best place to live, raise families, build careers, and enjoy mountain life. Awesome stuff. I think that's we can all agree with that, right? The Wim and Nancy PAUW Foundation, great idea to reinvest. Again, they're making money off tourism. They're reinvesting in the community. Amazing stuff.
How it should be, man. Like that's awesome. Like how much of a more badass mission statement could you possibly have than that, right? Like, especially here, it's you know how it is. It's a money grab sometimes, but that's sweet. Like that's the way to go.
We just have our community, right? Like the workforce is what, it's kind of the fabric of the community. So we have to be taking care of, people that are here for a short time, people that are here for a long time.
And honestly, it's a refreshing take to hear that kind of talk from a big business that the frontline workers, that is kind of what makes it. Like that's kind of what we would agree on. A few of the recent projects, obviously the Nancy PAUW pedestrian bridge, $2.5 million donated. Awesome. It's beautiful. Great work. Of course,
walked across there 2 days ago. I went on a little walk downtown.
It's always beautiful.
Quite nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We need more ways across the bridge. I think the traffic woes can always use more ways across.
Right.
The Rotary Park redesign, just putting the finishing touches on that, just down the street. Walk past it on the way here, looking fantastic.
Very cool.
Exciting, yeah.
Big shout out to Dean Cooper as well. I think he's with the Rotary Commission,
Club,
Rotary Club.
Yep.
Huge part of that. I just love. We covered I think a few weeks there was posts online of people complaining about it. It's like kind of part of what we do is a little bit of joking about the online comments. It looks great, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
I was walking down here just now, and there's like, I don't know, I'm guessing a class of kids from the school or something. They're all lined up on the bench, learning about something, and
amazing.
it was packed on the weekend. Families,
big time.
kids,
yeah.
We'll talk about this a little bit later. The Town of Banff Affordable Housing Project, $5 million committed in 2024.
Very cool.
Amazing stuff. We always need more housing. And we're going to dive into this more specifically. The Women Nancy PAUW Foundation, SATE, and YWCA Hospitality and Tourism Center, $30 million committed in 2024. Biggest donation on record.
Yes.
It's from what I gather, it's going to be a great project.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Before we get into too much, we're going to dive into a little word from our sponsors. So we'll cut to that a little bit. We got to give a big shout out to Drink Shaft. I'm going to crack into mine right now. This episode is brought to you by the Non-Alc Shaft. If you're looking for a clean energy drink that's gluten-free, vegan, naturally caffeinated with real coffee, perfect for the quick pick-me-up in the middle of the afternoon, or heck, in the morning when you're on the way to the hill, be sure to check out the beautiful black non-alc can sold as singles or as 4-packs down at Townhouse Liquor. I know my fridge is stocked up. You want to go for the first? Oh, we're back?
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, geez, that was quicker.
We're back,
quicker than I thought. So let's dip right back into it. Cathy, what is your official role with the foundation?
So my title is the executive director of the Women Nancy PAUW Foundation.
Amazing. What does that entail?
So it's kind of everything. It's myself, and I have a coworker, a right-hand person. Basically, my job is to go out into community, meet with not-for-profits, social service agencies that are doing good work to serve community residents, understand what their mission is, what they're looking to do, what their challenges are, what their barriers are to getting things done. How do you keep food going for hungry people, for food insecurity and that type of thing. Get them to dream. Like I really try and encourage people to dream a little bit so that when these, big $0 amounts come out, that we're really helping the not-for-profit agencies move their programs forward.
Amazing.
To really serve, the residents that need help.
Definitely giving a boost to the action that is kind of already happening in the community, and as well, like getting programs off the ground, which is absolutely fantastic.
How do you decide which initiatives you're going to kind of look at a little more seriously, or ones that just kind of go to the back burner? Like how does that process go about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I probably should have put more thought into it, but we have what I would call like loose values. So, and you touched on our mission and such at the outset. And so we say projects or organizations that align with our values, it's pretty broad. So anything to do with kids, getting kids outside, young adults, exposing young adults to opportunities to really embrace the mountain lifestyle, things that, are different than just going to the bars all the time and that sort of thing. Trying to support people, with mental health and just that connection part of mental health and, things for women and kids we're always about, and anything around recreation. And then other than that, it's just really learning about the people that are doing the deep work in the Bow Valley to address some of the issues that come up.
For sure.
Like I said, food insecurity or, getting seniors out on bikes or helping people with disabilities get out to the ski hill through Rocky Mountain Adaptive.
Yeah, we see them up there all the time. It's great.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we do a huge donation every year to CRPS, so Canadian Rockies Public Schools, and that's for everything from mental health supports in the schools to getting kids out on their outdoor pursuit programs. So learning, again, recreating in the mountain, making athletics a little bit more affordable for people. It's very expensive to compete and have to take a school bus 3 hours away every time you want to compete. And
well, mountain sports are not cheap.
No,
as
anyways,
they are. As a bottom entry level, they're not like the cheapest thing to get into.
Yeah. So I meet with people and they tell me about their dreams and opportunities, and then we sort of push it around a little bit. We like to start small and then kind of build relationship. And the organizations we work with, it's really all about the people. You build a trust relationship, and then we try and promote or come to a place where they're getting predictable annual funding to support their organization, so they don't have to
Amazing.
worry about,
Okay.
reapplying for a grant
Right,
every
right.
year. Or a lot of government funded programs are, kind of like a 2-year pilot or a 3-year pilot, and then they don't know where the funding's going to come after that. They've built a great program, and then the funding
Right,
drops
and
off.
yeah.
So
Good point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
So yeah,
That's
more
cool.
sustained development
Thank you.
in
Yeah.
charitable organizations or charitable causes. That's something. Yeah, like Matt said, didn't even think about that pilot projects and stuff. You see it all the
Yeah,
time.
well, once your
Always.
funding
Jump
runs
off and
out,
then-
you do. You don't think about it like if we had funding for this and it just all of a sudden dropped out and we had to give all this stuff back to somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we'd
Yeah.
be screwed.
If you're
So
employing people, or
Yeah,
for sure.
a lot of directors of organizations, like, they spend all their time fundraising, just
Mm-hmm.
trying to do a little bit of the work that they do, or fundraising for their own salaries.
Yeah.
Right,
Just to be able
right,
to keep
just to
the
be able-
organization going. So we try and help fill gaps that aren't filled through more traditional funding streams.
very, very cool. Very
Right
interesting.
on. We did mention it earlier, the $5 million donation to the Banff Affordable Housing Project. What does that entail? What is this money destined to do?
Well, so Town of Banff would be one of the organizations we meet with on a really regular basis, and as obviously housing the biggest issue in community right now.
No doubt.
So we were talking about where we could help. We don't necessarily want to be directly in the affordable housing space
Fair. from
from a building perspective and from an operating perspective. But when
Right,
they came to us with this 50 Wolf Street concept, because it's, I think if I get the language right, because it's public service lands, there could be or should be an allowance that a portion of it would be for community, like public community benefit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we really leaned into the community space. So it'll be affordable housing on the, the upper floors. And then there's, I think, about 12,000 square feet of what can be community space. So we really leaned into that. So our $5 million will go to develop that space. And I think right now the plan is that it'll accommodate some of the food security areas. So a community kitchen,
Okay,
a
nice.
place where people
that's
can
awesome.
gather. So the Filipino community could have a what's it called? Commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
That's
very cool.
that's got all the
For sure. That's a great
all
idea.
the certification and stuff, if they want to go down and then feed a meal to community, or some of the community lunches that happen.
Right.
And then some of the family connection programming will operate out of that space. Because I think the White Museum has plans for what is now the above the library space, 101
Oh, okay.
Bear Street or whatever. So
yeah.
there'll be some shifting about the programs that are offered there. So we really leaned in there. That's our way of supporting the affordable housing, and it helps the town of Banff. It's hard to get housing projects off the ground with that seed funding perspective.
Right.
Financing is
100%.
tricky and remarkably complicated, given that it's the number one crisis in the country, really. And so our funding will help them kind of push through some of that initial financing needs. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of faced with harsh criticism as well from the townspeople,
yeah,
and
that's a good
especially
point.
online and stuff, because like at the end of the day, businesses need to build these buildings for us to live in. It's
Yep.
not just like you wave a magic wand and we can take this money and build a building. Like there's a lot of steps that go into it. And again, initial funding for these projects
No doubt.
is often necessary. It's great to know that there's community space involved in that, especially since COVID. With you brought up the community kitchen area that's like licensed in that.
Right.
People have been trying to get businesses off the ground all
Yes.
the time. With they need that commercial kitchen space, which is
Well, we were
crazy
talking about it
expensive.
at work the other day. Somebody was, or maybe it was online. Somebody was mentioning like, well, you can just make stuff at home and bring it in. I'm like, you can't. You have
can't.
to have an AHS certified
Yeah.
kitchen. Like, you can't sell anything made from your house like that. Like, not as like a full time business. Like, it has to be certified. Like, you have to cook it somewhere where they come in and they do a health inspection. It's like, oh, you have a cat at home? You're not selling
You're
food.
done.
You're not selling food to anybody, buddy. Like, sorry about that, but
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's
that's very
so
cool.
many groups that
Very
are
cool.
looking for that type of space, or just a
100%.
space to have an affordable place to have a meeting. If you're again not-for-profit
right.
organization or a community group.
big time. And there are those that are still running in the town, like the soup kitchen or
Right.
the,
Yeah, they do
weekly
that.
meals
Yep.
there. So I think that's great to incorporate that, builds community, helps with food insecurity.
Yeah.
That's a great. I didn't even know that was going to be part of that program. So
Yeah.
thanks
Very cool.
for bringing that to the table.
while
for
we're
sure.
on the housing crisis,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on the housing crisis, and have you ever been affected personally by how crappy it is here. Pardon my language, but
I've been pretty lucky over the years, but again, when I arrived in 1991, like it was very similar. There was nowhere to live, and myself and my girlfriends, we literally went door to door knocking for about 3 nights in a row, just knocking on doors, asking people
that's wild.
if they had a suite or. Now it was July, and the difference then probably is that we ended up living. I went to get a haircut, and she did a nice job, and then my friend went back, and the hairdresser said. I was thinking about you girls looking for a place to live. And so she rented us, 3 of us, 1 bedroom in her little 2-bedroom condo.
Oh, cool.
And so that kind of got us going. The difference in 91 is that in end of September, October, a lot of people left. Like it was really, truly still a seasonal flux town.
You could kind of wait
it
out, right?
So it would open up opportunities when, the summer people left and that. So we came into housing, and I've been very fortunate really ever since then to have a stable place to live, although we don't own. We do rent, so as much as we have a great relationship with our landlord, that we all know that could change at any time. And we're the classic 3 bedrooms and a dog family, and you're sort of looking around going, I don't know where
when that
I would
vanishes,
go
it's like
if
where?
it disappeared.
Right.
So anyway, we just knock on wood every day, but and now today, I think it's a crisis. I think it's it needs fast response and fast reaction. And I think some of the funding, I think the town of Banff's doing a good job. I was watching yesterday their update to on how that Housing Accelerator Fund expenditure is going. And I think they said they've got about 160 permits or development permits and or building permits that are already in the hopper that have come since the bylaw changes came into effect. So I think that's positive. I don't think there's going to be a magic solution, and people toss around that 700 to 1,000 units needed. I think that with these bylaw changes, we need a little bit of time for people that have been sitting on land to kind of figure out what those bylaw changes mean.
Yeah, good point.
And get some units. Like I know Caribou is sitting on, a number of lots right now that will, whether you agree with staff housing and being tied to your employer and everything or not, at least they're addressing, a step in the right direction, right, at that entry level. And hopefully the market starts to balance itself.
For sure. Again, I wouldn't say we're against staff housing. Again,
you absolutely need it here. There's no way around.
Well, but there are challenges
about
with
it.
it, for
Yeah,
sure.
Of course. There is no easy solution for everything. Staff housing is a perfect solution for someone that's here initially, and then looking to plant seeds and grow as a member of this community. I think you can move past that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't want to seem like we're against staff housing anywhere where people anytime we
even
get more
even
It's
for
a
me
general
now,
comment. Not a you guys comment.
No, for sure.
well, even me now, I've been here in this apartment for almost 11 years, and I'm now looking for an apartment that's pet friendly for me and one tiny little 6-pound cat. I have no idea what I'm going to do. It's
because you getting you're just looking for something different?
Well,
or?
they want us out of here. This is basically how it's going down. They're over it. They want to renovate. I'm sure bump it up, and I think I'm one of the last remaining old tenants.
Original tenants.
So they're now we're now on month, and so it's just I'm just looking for an apartment. But it is what it is. I've been here 10 years, and they don't give a shit. It's just they got bought out by Boardwalk, which is a big nationwide company, and they're like, well, dollars, man. We can rent his apartment for way more if we renovate it. So,
and that's the problem, this buyout thing, right? Like when you look on whatever, Bow Valley Home Finder, and everybody, my place got sold and now I need to find a new place, and my place got sold. And it stresses me out as a mom. We bring roommates in from time to time because
if you need
kids' friends or, and you're like, okay, you can come and
apartment.
stay with us for a few months and we have a bedroom. So, yeah.
And you're not going to find that in a lot of other towns in Canada, I think. I've been helped out, especially when I've had housing insecurity, to stay on a couch here, stay in a room there for a little bit. So at least help is on the way, hopefully.
It is on the way. It's just whether, how long you can, I don't know. Anyway, and you hate to see people leave town. Good people who have been in community for a long time, or families, because families leave town and then your school enrollment goes, it just impacts everything. And so,
I've seen lots of people either their house sold, forced out, or landlords take their daughters moving in, or who knows? It's like anything, right? It's just is what it is, or they're selling the house, or
We need more market inventory, because the other thing is who,
Right.
you know, you can't leave a house that you've rented for 10 years and then buy into a $1.5 million
no, they don't care.
duplex that's
When
on
you-
the market
it's
sort
not
of thing,
the way.
you know?
Yeah, it's not the way it goes. Like I can't afford that. Like I don't even have a down payment. Like they're gonna be like, dude, you can't afford shit. Just
Yeah.
go pay $3,000 a month somewhere. You can
Yeah.
afford that, but you can't afford $1,500 for a mortgage. So get out. It's
Well,
like
that's what
it
I
doesn't
mean.
make
Like,
sense. Yeah.
This might be a little beside the point, but at what point does like your rent payments count towards like your financial stability? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like your credit or something
Right.
like that? Because like you pay it every month,
Yeah.
and like it
Yeah.
should count for something.
It should,
but at the
you're
end,
right.
it really
it's a good point.
like
yeah.
I can't go to the bank and be like, hey, this is what I pay rent every month, and be like, give me a
Yeah.
mortgage based on what I can afford in rent, because
Yeah.
that's for some reason that doesn't work.
It's the classic
yeah.
meme online. It's like, yes, it's like, can I get a loan? Or like, can I get this mortgage for $1,500 a month? Or like, no, you can't afford that. It's like, but I'm paying $3,000 a month in rent. It's like, yeah, but you can't afford
It
this.
doesn't
It's like,
count.
what? It's like, how does that like? It doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never got that either. But
So no, we're no exception to housing woes, I think.
No.
But definitely good on the foundation. Is there any plans in the future to help more with housing? Like you said, you didn't really want to get into it.
I guess what I'd say is we're following along, and if
Mm-hmm.
you know, I guess possibly if other opportunities came up where we felt it was the right opportunity, we'd push it around. There's no hard and fast no.
Yeah, fair.
But I don't know. It's a complicated question,
Yeah,
I
for
guess,
sure.
right?
No doubt.
Who should be in the marketing space? Who's, you know, I don't know. Is it private development? Should the municipality even be in the housing space? I don't know.
Right.
But if no one else is going to be in the affordable housing space, then somebody needs
Someone
to be,
has
because
to do
private
it, right.
developers aren't typically building for affordable or below
No.
market.
No,
you
they're
know,
building
they
for
tend to be
revenue,
looking
yeah.
for a return, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw a
And,
project being developed specifically as, what was the wording that was used? It was like non-compact units, or like it was like not built in the way that they're like, because a lot of single family homes are being torn down to have bigger units that are like
Yes.
economical on space per
Yeah.
unit, right? And
Right.
this one was advertising that it was not doing that. Like it was pretty.
it's like
These
just,
ones
yeah.
are going to be luxurious apartments.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
that's too
where's the
funny.
building formula on that? I don't know. It's complicated,
For
but
sure.
the bylaw changes are, I think, a step in the right direction. And
definitely.
yeah,
Cool.
Definitely. So yeah, big shout out to the town. Hey,
hopefully
we're
it
doing what we
happens
can.
quick enough for you and your cat. Where's your cat?
Oh, she's
Sorry.
sleeping in her bed.
In the window.
Oh, she's right there.
Yeah, she's
I
sleeping
didn't
in
notice.
her little window bed. She's basking in the nice sun
It's,
today.
it's nice over there right now.
Oh yeah.
So let's move on to what we
Sorry.
were all here to talk. No, that's okay.
ADD. Woo.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the club.
Hey,
Squirrel
it's
cat.
a cute cat. The internet loves cats too, so this will be a great clip, I'm sure. Let's move on to the big $30 million donation. All right,
No doubt.
So for those that don't know, it's a joint effort alongside the Women Nancy PAUW Foundation, Town of Banff, SAIT, which is the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology, as well as the YWCA in Banff. How does this partnership come to be? Like, how does all these people come to the table? Did you scoop all these people together and be like, this is the vision? Because I read that WIM's
had a vision.
WIM's vision
Yeah.
was a hospitality center,
Yeah.
or a school,
tourism
right?
school,
tourism
Cool.
school.
something that would just provide education opportunities, tourism focused for the people that
Cool.
you know, live in community. So Town of Banff
Yeah.
is not like a partner. They've
Fair.
been supporting
Supporting
you
the
know,
project,
the
yeah.
concept as far as
Very cool.
like the capital, the renovations and such will be going towards development permits. So they've been working with the Y to, you know, get
okay.
prepared for that and stuff. But otherwise, again, like all great Bow Valley stories. So Wim had a vision for a tourism school, and, you know, he's traveled the world, and
Yeah.
especially, you know, in the European area, where he would meet people who have established careers in hospitality, and that's their profession, and they say it proudly. You know,
sure.
I'm a server, I'm a concierge, I work at this place, and that sort of thing. And so he really always wanted to have that concept here, as opposed to, you know, the Bow Valley, where it's a little bit more accidental. You know, you land in Banff and you're like, okay, now I'm bussing tables, or
Yeah,
and now
you-
I've been doing it for 10 years or 15 years or whatever. And so we were looking for space for that, and looking at all kinds of space, wherever, everything from, I don't know, you're always looking at public service lands or, hey, what about this building? And so that was, we were just doing that quietly. And then it was an accidental conversation with somebody at the Y. Because the Y is a good partner, but this was also a personal friend. And you walk and you talk and you try and solve all the world's challenges and issues. And so I talked about this idea of a tourism school. And at the time, it was Connie who was the director at the Y. And she said, we run this 40-room hotel, which sustains our operation. She said, but we don't need to. It's not our primary mandate. And it does distract from the important work that they have to do. And it was just a walk. She just said the words. It was nothing other than that at the moment. And then over a few more conversations, we just kind of kept, well, how serious were you about that and everything? And then, I don't know, we've been talking to them for probably 4 or 5 years, I guess. And then at the same time or similar time, SAIT called because they were doing, this is probably way more information than you want, but whatever. They were evaluating their diploma programs and their certification in the tourism and hospitality school that they already operate. And they were bringing together an industry panel to talk about what outcomes industry needed from people that were graduating out of tourism programs. And so my colleague that took that phone call said, hey, we heard that you were poking around bringing a tourism school to the Bow Valley, because we had heard those rumors. And within a week we were on the phone with the dean of the school and sort of saying, well, we want to have a tourism school here. And he said, well, we'd like to have a presence in the Bow Valley. We think it would be a great spot. And then the conversations just sort of kept happening. And now,
well, that's awesome.
6 years later, we're at announcement time. So.
If you're talking about hospitality, Banff is the place.
Perfect
you got hotels,
place.
You got restaurants of all different
there's
types.
not much else to do for work here.
Parks Canada, tour operations, like everything. And it's just, they can stay at the Y and like it's a bike ride. It's a walk across the street to
100%.
a place of employment or to be, really immersed into how tourism works. And
Very cool. And I think you touched a good point, is like maximizing the space as well that we have here in Banff is always kind of the goal, right? And if that's not part of their prior mandate and they're operating it, and if they're not saying that this was the idea, but if they're not super stoked on it, or if that's not what they're there to do and they're operating it just because they have it, let someone else come in and put that space to another use.
And it was a great model for the Y for many, many, many years. It sustained them for sure. And it wasn't an easy decision, I don't think, for them to look. But then COVID happens and you start going, well, your dependency on this revenue stream, becomes really precarious, if not decimated. And, so that sort of helped the conversations along too. About diversifying revenue.
Very cool. What type of programs? Do you know what type of programs are going to be offered at this hospitality school?
Yeah, so I think I know that SAIT, they came up with a program right away, and they're experts in this field. They're really great people over at SAIT, and so they have what we would call an anchor program or a foundational program, which will be a 1-year post diploma program.
It's like a placement.
So this would be for people who have already have a certificate or a diploma from somewhere else in tourism or in business.
Cool.
So people that have decided that they want to expand their education and commit to a career in tourism and hospitality.
Very cool.
And the concept is that it's a cohort of 40, so it's 40 students, and they'll do a semester in Calgary at the SAIT campus, and then they'll do a semester here, living and working.
Placement. Very cool.
So placement, and still doing classrooms and classroom time. And then they'll do a 4-month true work placement where they'll be matched up with an employer that has staff housing.
Okay, awesome.
So then there'll be every 4 months, I guess there's a new cohort sort of coming in.
Very
it helps feed into, and hopefully, we're bringing people in that will decide to stay, fall in love with the mountains, and become part of our workforce at a highly skilled level. And if not, then we're fostering people that will have time in the mountains, create that connection, and become ambassadors or stewards, for
or
the
get
park,
to come back with their families
going home
down
or
the line. Yeah.
And then
Interesting
after
stuff.
that, I guess to the point of the question is, I think after that, I call it like the magic that I don't know we know exactly yet, but I think that once they get that first program off the ground, then the magic will happen with what else they can offer for people already in living here.
Cool.
You know, so people talk about culinary, people talk about just
Of course.
again, the workers that come into hospitality accidentally, and then maybe they want to advance their career or their education,
Right.
or you know,
Yeah, go get your red seal, your blue seal, like
Having that
could
right
be anything
here.
from
Yeah.
finances for housekeeping managers, or
Yeah.
very cool.
so I think that hasn't been entirely fleshed out yet, but I think that that's where the real juice will come. I
For
guess.
sure. I think
That's-
like,
Yeah.
yeah, didn't even think about that. People that are already in the community having access to education nearby. I think
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Being able to better their skills. Maybe for someone who fell into it by accident,
Yeah.
who decides, hey, maybe this is awesome and I
Yeah.
want to do it. You know?
High school students, like I think there's lots of programs that are offered that that you can start taking in high school, and they might work towards credits for a college or university program.
Right.
And state's already doing that. Our local school division's already doing that. So we think there'll be some good opportunities for students to,
That's sweet.
that maybe want to stay in the valley to
For sure.
pursue education. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you answered another big question in your last answer that I was kind of like thinking about was the right to reside. But it's like if they're going to be working and doing placements,
Right.
then they are falling under the need to reside, which is kind of awesome. So the housing there's already the 40 beds. Is it going to be expanded at all, or it's just going to be kind of kept the way it is? Is there any expansion to the building itself?
So there'll be a monstrous renovation to the building,
Yeah.
which is really exciting. But the rooms have been previously hotel rooms, and now they'll become student rooms.
Cool.
For the time that they're in school. So there's no change. Well,
There will
whatever,
be change,
cosmetic
yeah.
change, and then the great room up at the Y now will be converted into a classroom. And
cool.
then they'll build some study and break rooms and hang out,
Yeah, like probably
socializing, cooking spaces. And then the part that's really exciting for the Y
Mm-hmm.
is they're taking over a different part of the building that's been underutilized for many years now. And they're going to get purpose-built facilities for the work that they have to do. So counseling, intake for people fleeing domestic violence and that sort of thing. They'll have purpose-built, like right now they have shelter rooms that are mixed in with the hotel
cool. I didn't know they did that. That's
facilities.
very cool. Nice.
Yeah, so you land, anyway, you land and you're going through trauma and you're leaving your house
Yep.
unexpectedly, and they're just not purpose-built rooms. So now they'll be able to have facilities that are really
awesome.
intended for people who are going through crisis and can feel safe and secure. And
Amazing.
so the Y is very excited because they'll just get a proper built facility for the work they do.
Well,
Instead
yeah,
of the
I
old
think-
hospital.
Yeah, no doubt. Instead of just
Makeup,
repurposed,
yeah.
hospital, yeah.
I think like one of the concerns that I read online was people were worried about the services that were offered by the Y and losing those services.
Yeah.
But in fact,
getting
upon
an
my
upgrade.
research, they're going to get even better.
Yeah.
So
They'll be
cool.
way better suited for
fantastic
services
news.
they provide. Yeah.
What would you say to those that are critical about taking those living spaces and giving them to non-locals or using that housing for people? Like by bringing students in, we're kind of creating another type of local, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Well, I think like we already talked about,
Yeah.
they are students that will be working,
Working.
and contributing to the workforce and such. And I think the other piece is probably, if I can speak a little bit on behalf of Ebony up at the Y, is that they have a lot of housing at the Y already. They're already very committed to a
Right.
significant amount of affordable housing. They have many residents that have lived up in their facilities for a long time. They just opened Priscilla's Place, which is offering affordable housing for tons of people in community, from
Absolutely.
studios, 1 bedrooms, right up to 4 bedrooms, I think. And I think at the end of the day, it's their prerogative. They have to run a business, and there's a financial formula that goes along with that.
Absolutely.
And this is a financial formula that's going to work for them.
Yeah, awesome. Honestly,
Bottom line, probably, yeah.
the more people we can get here and be part of the community, and like you said, maybe fall in love with it and become like us one day who want to stay here and build
Yeah.
something in
Yeah.
the town of Banff. I think there's nothing wrong with that. And 40 beds, 40 like hotel style rooms is not the end of the world. That's actually quite economically compact if you're running a program like that versus having them kind of fight to be in the housing market,
Yeah.
it's kind of a great alternative, in my opinion, to that.
Yeah.
So,
And it's taking, again, depending which side of whichever coin you fall on, it's taking 40 hotel rooms off out of inventory. And that's, people that are coming and going that might require parking and the rest of it. So it is a bit of a shift from a commercial lens, I guess.
but I mean, you got to try new things, right? You're not going to get progress by not
Sitting
trying
still.
new things. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you mentioned the work placement. Are there any specific local businesses that are kind of looking to team up as far as like placing the students?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody,
I figured.
Yes, they did a gathering with HR representatives from HR from many community businesses, and this was probably a year and a half ago now, and everybody was like, yeah, how soon, when can it start, can we have all the people? Could you make it 4 times as big as it's going to be? And
Well, yeah, it's
so
crazy.
lots of excitement.
It's crazy here too in the summer. Like there's still a lot of places that are just extremely understaffed.
Yeah.
And it's wild because there's so many people here. It's like, how is this possible? But I don't know. It's a weird little town.
It is a weird little town. And I think if I can say too, the opportunity to bring the why and their focus on healthy lifestyles and, call it upping accountability and the standard of the people that we all are in community, addressing some of the dark underbelly of what can go on in a mountain resort town and that.
That's a great
And being
point.
able to work with SAIT. So they have a really good relationship there. So being able to work with SAIT to embed some of that, awareness and preventative type of training into the curriculum. And so just building a better Banff, building better people, bringing a higher standard. And so the people going into the workforce, you hope will just have a bit more accountability and commitment to what our community is all about.
Right.
For sure. And a bit more kind of perspective almost. And if, anything forbid negative arises, you have the services right there too, which is a fantastic point. Maybe in the same building. So great.
Well, I think we have just a really dynamic workforce here where like you get everything from I'm here on a 2-year work visa to just party and hang out. I don't really care about work. I'm just kind of here to make cash while I'm here. And then you get the opposite where people come in as well and they're just like, this is awesome, man. Like, this is where I want to be. Like, if you come from a slow town where there's not much going on and you want to be a chef, come out here, buddy. Like, you'll earn your stripes. You'll earn your stripes pretty
You'll get your
freaking quick
hours
out here.
in.
Oh, yeah, you used to doing 2 covers a day, and then you go to 400, and you're like, woo, okay, that was a doozy. But yeah, it's just it's such a dynamic workforce that I think it's going to be cool to have people that really want to be here joining up with the workforce, right? Like we need more of that. Like it's such a turnaround town, and it depends where you work. Like us, obviously, we have people that have been there forever.
Yeah.
Like. Because it's awesome, but some restaurants are just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and it's frustrating. Like I've been on the other end where you're training a kid every week. It's just like you got a new kid every week. You're training him, and then he takes off to go to Victoria because his buddy's going to Victoria, and I'm going to Nanaimo. We're all going out here. It's like, thanks for training me. It's like, oh my god, it's like another one. It's just. Yeah,
then you even like we compete amongst ourselves even, right?
Right.
Like then the guy down the street decides they're going to pay $1.50 an hour more because they're desperate, and then same thing, you're like, okay, well, thanks for your 3 months of onboarding, and then they're going to go down. Like it just doesn't. It's not sustainable, to use your word, and it doesn't contribute to all the other, people that need homes and want to have a stable life here and everything.
Well, Matt touched on a good point too. Like just from a training perspective, to try to teach someone that's doing the job just to have a job versus someone that wants to be in that field and wants to learn. Like I've been in restaurants before where we've had, I'm not sure if it was SAIT placement, it might have been, but students placed with us, and they're the most keen. They want to learn. They want to be there extra.
Yeah, they want the hours. They need them. They want them. They're like,
they want to get that experience, right? It's not just like, oh, I got to go do this today. It's a bit of a different attitude. So I think, again, having the option of education right here in the town of Banff is
super.
If you're
super
against
cool.
that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, well, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask about how that could benefit the community, but I think we already touched on
Sort of
that,
covered that,
a
yeah.
multitude for sure. Is there a timeline on breaking ground on this project?
Well, we're actually tomorrow or Thursday going to see the getting close to final design
The
drawings and everything,
renders,
not just
yeah,
the
cool.
concepts, like the actual design for the interior. I've seen some of the interior stuff, very cool, very fresh, and then we'll see the exterior.
Very nice.
And they're very close to sign off on those, and then they'll go into the development permit process. So
Cool.
however long that takes, 3 to 6 months, I'm guessing. Breaking ground fall maybe would be.
Cool.
Wow, nice.
Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. Like,
but I
these
don't
things
think
take
it's
time,
totally
right?
unrealistic.
Yeah, like the announcement of 30 million only came when, like in
November.
November.
Yeah,
so,
I remember we covered that when it when it got announced. Yeah.
So the ball is moving quite rapidly.
Yeah.
As far as construction stuff, is the footprint of the building getting any bigger, or
No.
no? It's just going to stay the same.
change.
Just okay, awesome.
It's pretty cool because they did have underutilized space, so they were able
Absolutely.
to. As a matter of fact, even the interior, they've been able to use a lot of the existing walls and structure and such. So
Nice.
yeah,
Awesome. Just last week, talking about all the conservation stuff, is that building getting any bigger? And it's not. So that's
Nice one, Dan.
fantastic news. Great,
Nice
great
one.
Yeah.
stuff. How can people get involved with the foundation if they have a cause or if they want to donate their time or effort to helping the Women Nancy PAUW Foundation? How can they do that?
Yeah, really, just an email away. That's what we say to organizations that have a proposal or want to see if we would be a fit for them, and that's what people do. I meet lots of people when I'm out and about, at networking events or whatnot. So people just can give me a call or send me an email and say, hey, this is what we've going on. We do what we have going on. We do. Right now, we can really only give to other registered charities, and not to get too technical, but
So don't just email asking for money.
well, no, people can for sure, but the answer is not always just a straight forward yes if they don't, they're not registered under the right agencies with the government. So we have CRA requirements and stuff, but we work really closely with Banff PAUW Foundation. We do a big pledge to them every year, and they're able to work a little bit more with like not-for-profits that aren't quite registered or anything, but
Absolutely.
but it's a pretty tight sector in the not-for-profit area, and
For sure.
so yeah, I'm happy to talk to anybody and try
Nice.
and get them pointed in the right direction.
Too easy.
If you do have a cause and you want to start a nonprofit, we covered an episode. It was with Hendo about a website called owner.ca. You can go on there and you can start a nonprofit. You can start an incorporated business, whatever you want. So if you do want to start your own foundation nonprofit, it's possible.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it might be easier than you think. So if you have any causes out there that you think, we would advise you to give it a try.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because,
I know you guys had Amal from OASA on a little
right.
while ago,
Yes,
right?
love
And
OASA,
like
for
a
sure.
seed of a good idea, a lot of volunteer commitment,
no
and then
doubt.
people coming together, and we're supporting them to help them get their
cafe.
off
Very
the
cool,
ground,
very
and
cool.
so that Amal can actually have a job as opposed to trying to do 4 other jobs and do this off the corner of his desk and whatnot. And so it's a great example where, and we work with the town of Banff to flow money to them because they're
Absolutely.
not quite registered yet. But but a good example of something just really
A
good idea that started, and now it's huge. And
even speaking to him all just for a short period of time, like you can tell he's almost a channel of ideas
my
coming
gosh.
through
Oh,
that
yeah.
that man. He's,
he
he's
amazes
a
me.
very
You sit with
inspiring
him and you're
person.
like, well, who's going to do this? He's like, oh, well, I probably will. Well, who's going to design the website? Well, I probably will. And then he's just got this group
That
of
whole-
people that have rallied up
Absolutely.
around him, and they're doing super cool stuff. So
No doubt.
Awesome.
No doubt.
What do you think Women Nancy would say if they were here today about all the projects they've been involved with?
well, I'll find out tomorrow because Wim will be in town, and I'm doing my board meeting with him. But
Beautiful.
I think Nancy, obviously really sad that we lost her a few years ago, and we were just kind of getting off the ground. But I know really, really proud, and I think the impact and the appreciation from community, but mostly the impact from the stories that we hear from people. And it's everything from a mom who never thought her kid would ever have a chance to ski, but maybe gets to through a school program or
Very
something
cool.
like that, to, I mean, there's just so many things that we're doing, and really proud. It's when they started it, it was really thinking about what he was going to do with his wealth.
Yeah.
After, we call it when there's a day that Wim can't ride his bike anymore. But post Wim sort of thing. And then we started getting it off the ground, and he's really having a lot of fun hearing all about it, and
cool.
just seeing the change that we can make. And depending who you're talking to and which day it is, because of course Caribou Properties is about, generating revenue.
Of
and
course.
It's a business that's building. And so some days it's, we got to make the money, and other days he's like, just keep on spending, keep doing good things.
Love it. I think
I just keep working
Such a
at
cool
it.
way to do it, man. Like,
yeah,
It's really
I got what I
amazing.
need, man. Do something cool with the rest of that. Like, that's how it should be, man. Like, what do you get? It's like my grandpa always said, can't spend it when you're dead, man.
Can't take it with you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring, I think, and just a good model for what businesses can do in this town.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Town, and I think we have to tip our hat to Wim, to the foundation, to yourself, for everyone
you.
involved. We're very excited for the future, and having an educational opportunity in the town of Banff is something big. I think we should celebrate that for sure.
Cool. We're just getting started. I'll say that when you ask about who's got ideas and stuff, like, more to come.
Any
Look out.
Any secrets?
Any teasers or anything?
No,
you wanna
I was
let
trying
us
to
in?
come up with something. That, we've got a few things, but
Anything
nothing I
I
can
can-
talk about.
Yeah, anything I could talk about.
You'll be
yeah,
the
man.
first to know. How's that sound?
Awesome.
Perfect. I like it. Sounds like a deal.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us. This has been
Thanks,
great.
guys.
Kind of diving in a little bit more into especially the next program and the foundation and WIM. And I think, just a great role model and an example of what businesses can do in the town of Banff if their heart's in the right place,
No doubt.
thank you for coming by, Cathy. It's been
Thanks,
awesome
guys. Great
chatting
to
with
meet
you.
you. Yeah.
Thank you for everyone for tuning in. And like every week, see you
See you
next
next
Tuesday.
Tuesday.